What's up, everybody? It's Rev time. Today I want to talk about massive amounts of chorus and delay on a solo tone. And why is that coming back around? I don't know. I mean, back when the dinosaurs roamed, when I was younger, that was kind of the thing. You had the big stereo processed solo tones with left and right delays and chorus on the solo tones. Sometimes you had like a 50 millisecond delay that you were using as a double to make the chorus sound, or the solo tone sound even bigger. I look at all my favorite cats like Steve Lukather, and especially Steve Lukather and Mike Landau. They were using these effects, and it just sounded massive and huge. And that was kind of a big thing. Everybody had big rack systems. I had a massive refrigerator with all the lights in it and bells and whistles. And I got to admit, sitting in front of that thing and just playing was insane. I mean, the tones were just massive, and you really have a hard time, or at least I do, have a hard time really recreating those days of when I had that massive rack system with TC2290 or what else? I was using PCM 70. That was those were kind of my, H3000, Eventide. Those were kind of my go-tos. I was using, DBX compressors, all kinds of different preamps and power amps. But that was kind of the sound, and then it kind of went away. Even guys in Nashville were using all these big racks, especially Dann Huff. Dann Huff's another big one. And it went from that to everybody going to basically pedal boards and standalone, almost just like single-channel amps. So it seems like it's kind of circling back around. I mean, I don't think I'm to the point where I'm going to go out and like build a massive rack again, as much as I would love to. I had so many different racks back in the day. I don't know that I'm going to do that, but I do miss those tones. Just such a cool era. But I've got, a bunch of friends of mine that are really great guitar players are kind of quasi tapping into that whole tonality now. And I think the reason it sounded so cool is it was just so spread out. It was so broad. It just made a guitar sound larger than life, and it really does. So how am I achieving that? Okay, the chorus sound that you're hearing, and I'll put up an inset shot so you can see it, but I'm just using my Eventide H9. I'm using the Sarah chorus, and that's it. That's in the effects loop of my Rev 120. I'm using channel 4 blue mode. I like using that channel for solo tones. It just feels really good. You can see how it's dialed up. More treble, less bass. It sounds pretty modern. A little more gain than I would normally use, but that was kind of the thing. That, to me, that's like the quintessential sound. Okay, so that's the channel I'm using, Eventide for chorus. The delay you're hearing is actually a plugin that I use a lot, not necessarily for demos, but in this case I'm using it by Sound Toys, and it's called Primal Tap. And it's, basically emulating, the old Lexi delays that sounded, or I shouldn't say Lexi, Lexi delays. It's emulating those old delays that sounded so great that guys were using in stereo. So you can hear, like right now, it's a stereo delay ping-ponging back and forth. So essentially what it's doing, because I'm not using the tri-chorus in stereo, it's in mono, it's in the effects loop. So what's creating the stereo image is really just the primal tap. That's what's really creating the stereo imagery. So if I turn that off, now you're hearing just the chorus. I can shut that off. There's just the amp. I'll add the chorus back in. And that already sounds, you know, like almost a doubled guitar, but it's, you know, it's that chorus thing. But really what gives you the stereo imaging is, and I just turned it back on, is the primal tap stereo delay. Now, there's other ways to do this. Of course, wet cab, dry cab is one of the coolest ways to get a tone, especially in the room. It sounds killer because you'll have essentially your center cabinet, which would be basically your guitar through the amp into the cabinet untouched. And then you could, split the signal off of the source, which would be your head, into your processing with no dry signal, just all wet, into separate cabinets and power, and that essentially would be wet cab, dry cab. That sounds amazing. I don't tend to lean towards that to record because you're basically 3 tracks in, and at the end of the day, the way the recording process is anymore, if you give somebody a guitar signal that is that spread out, and they're trying to figure out where to put that between, a Hammond B3 or a bunch of keyboards, acoustic guitar, maybe another guitar track, vocals, drums, bass. It's like they're not going to know where to put that. So I'm less apt to really do that anymore unless I know there's room for a big stereo spread out sound, whether it's stereo, essentially what we're doing here, or wet cab, dry cab. But the point is, it was just, and still is, such a great sound. It's just so enjoyable to sit and play. And it doesn't even have to be, that's a gain tone, but I can go to clean, and it's essentially the same deal. So I didn't touch anything. I just went to my clean channel on the 120 Mark III, and I'm using the same exact effects. If I shut those off, shut the chorus off, delays off, that's a nice clean tone. But what creates the stereo image is, once again, the primal tap. Then we can add some chorus. So I can see how it would come back around. Like I said, as far as fitting it in mixes, the big stereo spread, unless, once again, that's producer allocated, artist allocated. I want this solo guitar to take up a huge amount of the mix. Otherwise, I'm hearing it here and there where it does have chorus and delay, but it's just not big spread out. But yeah, it's just such a great sound. It's just something I kind of wanted to, like, I don't know, I guess this is more of a vlog than anything. But I just wanted to talk about how that's kind of coming back around, and it's a cool sound. It's not a sound I would use all the time, but it is a sound I love. So let me know, are you guys, any of you guys doing that kind of thing? You know, are you nostalgic about the old days? Are you taking a sound like this and actually making it your own? Are you kind of reallocating, you know, your own style based on this sound, but not necessarily the slick, you know, 90s style guitar playing? You know, what chorus are you using? What delays are you using? Are you playing in stereo? I mean, I don't tend to record in stereo. If I do anything in stereo, I'll usually do what I'm talking about here, where, you know, I'll do stereo delays to create a stereo image, but I'm not necessarily recording completely in stereo. Yeah, let me know what you guys, you know, or what you guys do to get that sound. And as always, I really appreciate you tuning in, and yeah, we will see you next time.